I'm going to walk you through one of the most advanced outreach systems I've built. Cold outreach isn't dead, it's just way harder than it was a year ago. And the only way to stand out today is to offer more value and to get more personal. So, this system uses personalized AI videos in Google Docs for every prospect. The AI videos are going to show a prospect's website and LinkedIn profile, even though I only recorded the video once. Plus, the Google Doc gets generated with AI to make it look like I made it by hand. And it includes things like their name, logo, profile photo, and some type of high value content offer just for them. I'll walk through the whole system from scratch so you can build it too. So let's get into it. Let's walk through the architecture at a high level. So the first thing we're going to do is get prospects from somewhere. Typically, I recommend scraping them from Apollo or just downloading them from Apollo. An Apollo account's not that expensive. It's one of the best places to get contact information from whoever your prospect is or ideal customer. And then we are going to get into the fun part, which is the AI personalization. So we're going to use two tools. One is this tool called Vidu, which I'll run through in a minute, which makes these personalized AI videos, which is super, super cool. You record it once and then it will update it for every prospect. And then the other one is the personalized Google Docs. And Google offers a templating solution through Make that is really cool and makes it look very personal, like you created these Google Docs kind of by hand for the specific person. So we'll run through that. And then ultimately, this all feeds into some type of outreach software. I love Limlist for a bunch of different reasons. One is it handles both email and LinkedIn outreach, which is super cool. You can make all these really neat sequences, and then we can go like email and we can go to the LinkedIn aspect. So this whole system is what we're going to run through right now. So first, let me walk you through this tool called Vidu. And what it does, you record once, you put your face in the circle, and it looks like some type of like Loom video. It looks very natural, and you can make it like a custom domain. And it then replaces the placeholders with whatever variables you put in there. So, for example, website one, we might put the prospect's LinkedIn profile, so it looks like we were actually on their LinkedIn profile at that moment. And then the next one, we might have it be their website, their company website, and it looks like we clicked over to their company website. And again, we only record this once, and it's replacing it for every prospect. So we record it once, and then we end up having a customized video for all 300 prospects. All right, so let's actually link this up as a starting place. And I created this basic Google Doc and exported a few super random people from Apollo. I have no idea who these people are, except the top one, which is me. So let's link up or at least get our range of values. All right, so grab the sheet and the spreadsheet and then the sheet. So sheet one. And then let's get the range, which was, I'm just going to grab my single row. So what is it like? A2 to N2, A2 to N2. That's right. Table contains headers, correct. And those are at A1 to N1. Save. Just make sure we have our data. Do. There's my info. And then let's start building out the video API connection. Now, this one's going to be a little more advanced for the video connection because they don't have an actual module within Make. But what you're going to do is grab your API key, which is here. And then we're going to go to our API docs. And we can see how we want to connect with this. So some of this looks scary. You really don't need to worry too much about it because I'm going to show you where to put the stuff. But the idea is that you send a post request to the API, which just means you send it some data, and then it will spit back the video that you want to create. So we can ignore most of these. The main one we want to do is this post request to this URL. So this is just saying, hey, send this information, this project ID and the inputs. So you can see we have our website one, website two. We'll actually have a website three to this endpoint. So let's do our HTTP, make a request. Let's throw our URL in here. We're going to do a post request because remember it said post. And then the trickiest part about this is really just these headers. So the headers it suggested, if we go back to it, were somewhere, here we go. So this H means header. So these headers were authorization, then bearer, and then our token. So we're going to send authorization as the name of the header. And then we're going to send bearer, which is kind of the standard API header lingo. And then we're going to send our key. So I'm going to copy and paste this key. And by the time you see this, I will have changed the key. So there's no sense in trying to steal my key. Throw my key in there. And body type is going to be raw because we're going to send it some JSON here. And then our request. So if we go back to our request, is where to go? Get post here. So we're going to copy and paste this over. And then we just need to replace our project ID. So the project ID is one of these recordings that we did. We'll use this one, and the project ID is in the URL. There's probably another place for it, but I'm not seeing it. I'm sure it's somewhere else. But there's your project ID in the URL when you click on the video. So it's your project ID. And then we just need to send it our variable. So you can see it actually shows you the variables you can send. Website 1, website 2, website 3. So we have all of them except for website 3. So let's go ahead and grab website 3 in here too. And then we are just going to replace these with our URLs. So first we want to go to the person's LinkedIn URL, and then we want to go to the person's website. And then website 3 is going to be our Google Doc that we're going to create. So I'll just leave it as just video, I guess, and then we can run it. And then we'll replace with our Google Doc, our custom Google Doc. So this should work. Let's parse the response to make sure that it'll parse the data as it gets it back so we can do something with it. And anything in advanced settings? I don't think we need any of this stuff. We'll find out if we do. So it should be it. So let's run it and see what happens. So there we go. We got the info. It then made the request. And the response back is that it went through and it is now queued. So this pretty much means that this endpoint is asynchronous, which means this will not sit here and wait for the actual video to complete processing. However, this endpoint gives you all the information you need to actually use the video properties right after it's generated. These videos only take about a minute to generate. Like it's probably already generated at this point. So you can move forward assuming that by the time you actually do the rest of the processing, that the video is going to be ready. You don't really need to make another request to see if it's completed or not. At least I found that they're super fast. So by the time we run this and generate the Google Doc and generate the email and queue it up into the outreach tool, then it's generally ready to go. But let's actually go and look at our preview and see what it created. So there we go. So we have, hey, I came across your profile and I thought you'd be a perfect fit for our affiliate program. We have this was the company. Oh, I put the company video first content agency URL instead of my personal URL. Finding that we so it's actually cool because then it showed that it goes to the company page. People like yourself. So we have companies who are people who are earning about 5 figures video, the last one per year just by making interest. So how cool is that? It's amazing. So that was step 1 of our AI outreach. Now let's get into step 2, which is our AI personalized Google Doc. Make.com has a feature in it which allows us to actually create variables within a Google Doc, and then we can use our variables like any properties that come in our scenario and replace the variables in the Google Doc with whatever we want. So let me show you what this will look like, and hopefully it makes sense. So this is a Google Doc with placeholder variables in it. And then when we run these variables through Make, it will actually replace it with the properties that we want it to. So we got our first name and our last name, company, logo, image, all those things. We have them as properties, and now we can use those to replace the variables within this Google Doc. So I've created a random Google Doc. I think I just duplicated some template that was in Google, and I threw in some example placeholders. So we have first name, we have first name again, we have company name, and then I have this idea of company questions, and then an image. So the image, which looks very much like where I look like now, the image any images within these Google Docs will actually show up as a variable within the scenario that we can then replace with anything. So I probably wouldn't use a picture of myself as a placeholder just in case it didn't get updated for some reason, but I threw that in for now, and you'll see how it's going to get replaced. So we'll stick with just the variables that we have on the first page, just as an example. And then let's jump back over to make, and I'll walk you through what it looks like to replace those variables with the Google Doc. And we want to look for something about templates. Create document from a template. So I'm actually going to unlink our video so we can test it without using up all of our credits. So within our Google Doc, we just picked the template. So I've already created this template. Again, I have it listed like template real big. And then I just need to find it. And then once I have it selected, it will actually go and find all the variables within the Google Doc, and it makes it super easy for you to replace it. So there's no real like hard coding or anything. It just pulled our first name, company name, custom questions, which again, here's our variables that we created. We use this mustache case, which are open curly brackets and close curly brackets. And then it will pull any image that's in there. So if I added another image, it would show up here. So it just shows image number 1. And then you can give it the title for the document and the location that you want it. So let's just run it to see with our actual data, just to see the output of it. And I actually haven't filled in the custom questions yet. This will be our prompt that we'll generate with AI. So I will just put like, custom questions placeholder. And our image can be our photo URL. And then we'll give it a name. So assuming you're going to share this, set this to share, you probably want it to stand out with their name. So, maybe put their, first name, company name, in, I don't know, parentheses or dash, Brandon's content kit. I don't exactly know what we're creating this content kit because it was a template, but we'll roll with it. Brandon's content kit. You put, in parentheses, the company name, just so they know that you got the data. And then you pick a location where it's going to go. So we'll just throw it back in that folder. Keep it easy. And then let's run it and see what happens. We got a success. And then let's go find and see if our doc is in there. And there it is. So created Brandon's content kit, parentheses outworks. Again, work with your own naming conventions, get creative, make sure it's personal, feels personal. The name will be important when you share it. But otherwise, it replaced it with Brand's content kit, my goofy LinkedIn profile that I need to update, and then company name, and then we'll replace this with some type of AI. So let's make this super personalized with AI. And what we need to do first is actually have ChatGPT make some summaries based on the user's information. I found that helps instead of us just feeding it all directly to our question, because there might be some information missing, or ChatGPT might be able to fill in the blanks on some information. So I like to make 2 prompts on this. So it'd be like, hey, go look at this person, identify a bunch of information about them that I might need, like who are they selling to, what industry are they in? And I may not use all that information, but it's nice to have it so the next prompt can use it as needed. So I won't make you watch this. I'll fast forward through this and explain what I just wrote here in a second. All right, so the basics of this are I have the first developer role going through and just saying you're a helpful B2B podcast planning assistant. And then the actual prompt to that assistant is, hey, here's some information. Please review it, analyze it, and then give me some output, some JSON output that looks at the audience profile, episode topic, and episode goal. So let's save that. And the next step is actually generate our questions. So I'll throw another one in here. And again, I won't make you watch me type. I will fly through this piece. All right, now we're just gonna need to update the actual properties that are that are going to come from our last prompt, and we'll do that here in a second. But this is going to return JSON. What did I tell it to return? Nope, just text. So this pretty much says, similar before, we have developer system, your helpful B2B podcast planning. So this is the system role, and then the user role, which is our actual prompt, walks through and just says, hey, here's a bunch of information. Please give me some insightful questions um, for this podcast I'm running, again, as our example. So all these prompts will be available in the blueprint. So you can grab them if you want. And then we don't need to have this return JSON, so we'll leave that off. And I think I actually need to set the last one to return JSON. I think I forgot that. So we just need to go to advanced. And instead of text, it's going to return a JSON object, and we want it to parse it. So we'll save that. And then let's clean this up a little bit. All right, so let's run it. All right, let's see what we got. So the output of our first prompt gives us our audience profile. This episode's designed for startup founders, growth marketers, and digital strategists. Episode topic, optimizing startup growth, how serial founders utilize lean growth hacking techniques to scale their businesses. So this would get super specific. The more content you gave it, the more specific it would get. So it's great. So it should return, create our JSON object. And then our next prompt is actually missing that piece. I realized I didn't actually connect it totally. So let's give our topic. And then this prompt will give real results this time. Profile, let's save that. So if I run this again, we should have even better responses. So the next time I run it, it should be filled in and it should be even better. And then we just need to link up our questions that we have now. And where did they go? Result. And now our question should actually show up in our Google Doc. So let's run it one more time. Cool. All right. Let's see what document it created. So we should refresh, and we're starting to collect our Google Docs. And let's see which one, what time. 3:33, 33, 36 should be the most recent one. Yep. Here we go. So this, again, this photo was replaced. It replaced one of my profile photos with another profile and used my name, and it created the questions. So here's a bunch of questions. If I saw this with my name in it and the company name in it and specific questions, I would be very impressed. So let's go and grab the Google Drive module, and we're going to do share. We're going to create a share link for this file. It's pretty straightforward. You just give it the ID to the file. So my Drive file, just going to send it the ID of the document it just created. Set it to reader. You set it to commenter, writer, owner, whatever you want, but set to reader, and then user is going to be anyone. So this makes the link publicly accessible to anyone. And then we can email it to them. So we'll save that. And all this is going to do is make this public. Whatever document gets created here, it's going to then make it public immediately. So then we can use that link in the next step. And really all we want to do now is grab that URL. So we could send this to them, but we want to grab the URL and throw it back into our video endpoint here that we created. Connect these. And now, let me rename this because video create video. So now we just want to replace this final URL with our doc that was just created. One thing I noticed, if you use the actual link that comes back from the shared drive, it creates this weird view that doesn't show up well in video. And I ran into this before. So you can actually just use the web view link from the original doc. If you hadn't opened it up to be a public doc, the link would break. But since we've opened it up to a public doc, it works fine. So we'll save this. And now let's run it and see what happens. Actually, you know what? Let's run it with one of these other random people that I have in this list and see what comes up. So let's just do this next person. And ideally we see their information. So we'll move on to the next column, or sorry, next row. That should work. So let's run it and see what happens. All right, we have completion. So let's see, our doc got created. So Zev's content page. Let's see, we have Zev's content. There's Zev. All right, so that's a Google Doc. And then let's go look at our video that got created. Go to our preview URL, see what it looks like. Hey, I came across your profile and I thought you'd be a perfect fit for our affiliate program. We have a B2B video first content agency, and we're finding that we partner perfectly with people like yourself. So we have companies who are people who
So jumped
are
over to
earning
his
about five
website,
figures per year
jumped over to
just by
his
making introductions to
Google Doc
us.
that got
You do a
created,
fantastic job.
and
And
I'd
to prove
wrap
it,
it up.
so again, that was somewhat of an example video. I think we're testing some affiliate program outreach for Outworks, my agency, B2B content agency. You could kind of see I didn't explicitly talk about anything within like the LinkedIn page or their website, kind of click through it, but the person can look at it and feel like, oh, this person just stumbled across me. That's awesome. All right, now let's actually do something with this content. Let's jump back over to Make. And we are going to throw this to a limb list campaign. So I'll throw the limb list module on first. And then if you're not familiar with limb list, it is probably one of my favorite outreach tools. There's a ton of them out there. Limb list specifically does a few things extra that I like. One is that when you create a campaign, which this is the campaign sequence setup, it allows you to do a lot more LinkedIn automation. And some of the other platforms don't allow you to mix it all together, which is really nice. It also has a bunch of credits for like AI, and it can do a lot of the scraping for you, like enrichment. So you can validate emails within LinkedIn, or sorry, within Limlist. You can scrape LinkedIn profiles within Limlist. So it's kind of nice just to kind of have it all in one place. It limits some of the extra steps. But they all kind of do a lot of the same stuff. But I have used Limlist for a long time, so I really enjoy it. What we want to do just for this example, we'll pull over some of this text, make sure we can all see it. And I've created some basic copy just to mainly get our variables in here as an example. But the idea is you'd say something like, hey, I create a quick video for you. We want to build your trust. Here's some type of custom content I generated, and I think it might be useful. Here's a link to it. The cool thing is with video is it will give you the HTML for the thumbnail of the video, and the thumbnail of the video, like the image, will actually have that first screen, which will be their LinkedIn profile or their website or something very custom to them. So it looks like you went out of your way to go look at their profile, which is super neat. And then the next step is our Google Doc. And this one is, again, we'll just use it for our link for demo purposes to get it in here. But the idea is you maybe follow up with the Google Doc, the share URL. So this should be the public doc that they have access to. And you'd say, here it is. You can go have access to it. You might want to put that in the first email. You might want to have your first email, not have any links in it. And you follow up with it. Just test like crazy on this and try different versions and what works. And then you'd follow up with potentially LinkedIn invite and a LinkedIn message, and the same idea, like, hey, I'm trying to get this content to you, which is super important. It should stand out. So let's go back to Make and then actually connect these variables with our campaign. So we can pull our campaign in here. What was it? I have so many campaigns. Campaign test, campaign 4, I think. And then now we're adding our prospect. All right, so I have them all linked. And the more variables you add, the more that would show up. So we should have custom fields as well. And then we're just going to add our custom variables in there. So I added the video because I need the actual URL. I'm probably gonna use HTML most likely, but I'm throwing the URL just in case. And then the Google Doc URL, which again, we're using the one, not the one from the share link, but the one from the original doc because the formatting's a little better. And with the lim list, it gives you the options too if you want to like deduplicate, enrich LinkedIn. Use credits for these. The credits aren't that expensive. Sometimes it's worth it. So specifically, if you want to verify the email, just to make sure that the email is not a junk email, this will help your bounce rates as well as just your overall delivery rate. So you can do these. I'm gonna leave them off for now, but you definitely can do those and it's worth it. So let's run this whole thing and we should get some data over and we'll see if we have our contact show up. And let's actually use a new contact. Let's go down the sheet just for fun to see the next person. Let me know, what is it, 4, 3, 4. We'll see who we got. All right, so everything ran. And let's go just look at lim list and see what lead got added. So we have our lead list and we just added David Murphy here. And you can see everything was linked up, his email, LinkedIn profile, and the pieces that we really want to see are our custom properties, which is our video HTML. We got it, video URL, which is great. And then our Google Doc URL. Then we can run over to our sequence and see the preview of the actual campaign and the content in there. So look how cool that is. So I recorded that video once and replaces it with his content. So this looks, very legit. It looks like I actually went to his profile. Ideally, he says his own content. I probably feels like I took the time to actually go make a video just about him. And this saves me hours. And then the next piece would potentially be, hey, I'm seeing this Google Doc. Let's go look at the Google Doc. And it's an amazing Google Doc just for David. Pulled in his picture, created questions for him, which I'm assuming are fantastic. Just skimming them real quickly. Looks like they are. They could get more specific. And that is super cool. So instead of doing all this manually, this is 100% automated, 100% like next level AI personalization. And you will definitely be winning with this outbound campaign. I probably shouldn't have shared it because it is so cool. And that's really it. Now, the final step would be linking up the Google Sheets. Instead of Google Sheets, you would connect it straight to Apollo or use Apollo to fill Google Sheets up. You could just do an export of 10,000 of your ICP and throw in the Google Sheet and just let it run for a long time. You need to set up Limlish. You need to set up these tools, which are super easy. They all have very, easy tools to follow. I have all this information in the blueprint that I have in the description or the comment, as well as links to all of these tools. And you should be up and running super quickly. So hopefully this was helpful and you found some value in it. If you did find some value, please like, subscribe, and check out my next video.